Alright, I've completed some of my samosas. Not all of them. I'll come back to that later. Some of them are perfect, some of them not so perfect. This one, for instance, I believe is going to split open. So I'm going to kind of go back in here and pinch those edges closed if I can, trying to seal the dough. And that's what happens when you overstuff it. It gets filling in the cracks, and it wants to open up. You don't want it to open up because then the inside comes out. So I'm just going to revisit some of these before I drop them in. You know it's ready when you, the oil, take a little bit of dough, just a little bit, drop it in there. You can just give it a little thing, and you can see the dough cooking, and then it rises to the surface. Very small piece of dough, which means that oil is ready to go. So I have as little air in here as possible. They're densely packed. I'm just going to go ahead and drop it in. And it made a sizzling noise. That's a good sound. That means the oil is indeed hot. It's bubbling a little bit. This one really wanted to open up a little bit. So we're not sure exactly what's going to happen to this one, but I'm going to go ahead and do it this way with the hole up. That way hopefully it can evacuate and the inside stays in. This one was one of the more perfect ones that I created. Let's just drop that one in now. And we're going to let those things cook for a little bit. So while they're cooking, I'm going to get myself something to flip them with. I don't have one of those cool wire things, so tongs, because that's just how it is. Apparently, I also made these a little thicker than I wanted to, and I did not put enough oil in to cover the surface, which makes me a little sad, but that's still going to work. They are still frying. Slowly, but they are frying. Again, that filling was cold. The dough is, well, what it is. So we shall see here in a second. I'm going to turn up the heat a little bit. These bubbles aren't big enough for me. They're not making me really happy, like it's getting extra crispy. So I'm going to move it up on my dial, which goes up to 10. I'm going to move it all the way up to light, which is 11, and just back it off a hair. So I have it on full high heat right now on my gas stove, and that oil is obviously coming up to a higher temperature rapidly with that burner going full blast beneath it. What I'm looking for is these bubbles. Oil wasn't exactly hot enough. I probably should have used a thermometer. Probably should have one of those little strainer things. Lots of probablys, but what's a good adventure when you come fully prepared? Making do with what you have is a different story. So I'm going to give this guy a flip. Obviously, prematurely, it's still white on the top or bottom. So this oil was definitely not up to temperature. I'm glad I only did 3 in this first batch. I would have ruined a whole pot if I had done more. But you know, first time experiment, so we'll see what happens. It is still on hot, high heat, and I can see the bubbles are faster and they're getting a little bigger. So I think it's getting to where it should have been all along. It's not quite there yet. But they are technically deep frying, slower than I would like, so I don't think these ones are going to be as crispy as I would want either. But while this is going, I'm going to get myself a plate, and I am going to put a big towel down on it, because I'm about to pull these out here, and I want something to set them on. Problems with paper towels deep frying on the stovetop is they are flammable, so just FYI. I'm starting to see some brown color around the tip of this one that I flipped over previously. I'm going to go ahead and give it another flip. And these ones, I believe, are definitely ready to be flipped. So let me just give them a quick flip. It looks like my samosas are starting to brown. I wish I had a little bit more oil to actually cover the surface so they could sink. I don't know if these would float or not because they're pretty heavy, but I can tell you that they are getting a nice golden brown, and I believe will soon be coming off. Keep in mind there are hot spots in oil, even just like a pan, because that burner is putting heat here in that center area. And even though that this is a good conduction and it does distribute heat pretty evenly, there are still hot spots as it sits on the bottom. So again, more oil better. But these are looking interesting. I've gotten my paper towel on a plate, and I believe these are going to be ready to be pulled right now. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this one out, set it down here on my towel, pull that one out. It's also going on my towel. And this one, which had the hole, actually sealed. Oh, Scheisse! Yeah, I swore because I just splashed hot oil everywhere. In German. And that one's also coming out, the one with the hole in it. So, we'll see what happens here when I cut into them. They appear very flaky. We'll see.